I believe that round of applause was for me and for me only. You heard my round of applause.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
heard
that's
that,
good.
man.
Yeah,
It was,
man. I've been working on it. That shit lit.
it was terrible. Round of applause was terrible.
Still,
Yeah, it was terrible.
I even went to a different link.
It was better. I tell you what, it sounded a lot better. It sounded a
Than,
lot
than
better
the
than
first
what.
one I had.
Yeah, it sounded a lot better. The last one that you had, it sounded like
The shit was just motherfucking muffled and shit.
yeah, it was like car like a car screeching down the street or something like that, and it was terrible, man. It was ugly. It was ugly, man.
Motherfucking shuffling the deck.
Yeah, man. It just sounded like I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, anywho, you know what I'm saying? Welcome to Winner Circle Podcast, man. You got myself, GP, representing Legacy Sports, and you got my man. Let you introduce yourself. You know,
Yeah, man.
I call him Little Doodoo, but he go by.
Man, yeah, I go by many names, but man, no, I appreciate you, taking the time to kind of put all this together, man, and inviting me on your podcast, man. I really appreciate it, man.
Oh well, I mean, anytime, I get that phone call and be like, we're doing a podcast. I got some shit I get off my chest. I'm more than willing to oblige. You know what I'm saying, to make sure when we do this podcast per your request. Shit.
Man, look, man,
because this is your podcast.
This is our podcast, man. This is our podcast, man. But I feel like you don't party with me no more, man. When you go,
man, we have. I do party. You know that last time I was at the party,
man. But we haven't partied in a minute like that, GP. Man, when we go party. Man. It's good to see you, though, man. It's good to see you.
Likewise, my brother. And of course, Dr. Shelley, she's late as usual, but she may pop her head in a little bit later. She may not, but salute to her if she do, if she don't.
Yeah. Either way, I think there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about, my brother.
There's a lot to talk about on the show. There's been some really cool topics and some really good conversation being had on social media as it relates to just the state of the game that you and I have the privilege of being able to facilitate and host for hundreds of athletes across America to come out and compete.
Across America.
Yeah, and obviously when it comes to this game that we so passionately love, obviously there's in the community that we serve, I believe there's gonna be a lot of opinions, and a lot of ideas in terms of how people want to see the game evolve, where they see they see the game where it should be shifting. We have a community of players that want to see the game get back to a level in a state where it was, and so there's a lot of that going on. And, I think from the seat that you and I sit in, we tend to hear those voices a lot,
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts on that. And, of course, if there was a way that we can get it back like it was, we wouldn't mind it going there. But at the same time, what does that entail? You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, what I'm saying, you get that reboot 2.0, and you think you're gonna get the same nostalgia and the feel that you had for when it was before, and it just doesn't measure up or quite give you what it is that you're looking for, what you thought it was gonna be, because so much shit has changed since then. So
yeah, listen, man, I'm gonna be a realist, and speaking truthfully and being blunt, to get the game where it was, I think that what the first thing that we should listen to is who is this coming from? What community is coming from? And I think that tells a lot about just kind of the direction. But I'll say this, man. You know, Blockbuster was cool when it was around. You know, the idea of a Friday night, we get to walk inside a store, buy popcorn, buy candy, rent your favorite movie, rent your favorite video game. That was a beautiful time when, you know, when it existed. But now that times has changed, there's Netflix now. And there's other, you know, ways to access the favorite movies, TV shows, and things that you want without having to get up, get inside your vehicle, and, you know, drive a couple miles down the street to go get it, then rewind it and put it back in the cassette and take it back to the store and hope that they don't overcharge you for having it longer, right? So while that time it was revered in the moment, times have changed.
Definitely.
And, you know, the days of Blockbuster being the way that you rent and access the movies, it's not like that anymore.
Right.
You know? And so I think that that ties into my point when I was talking about it depends on who this desire is coming from. Are we talking about Blockbuster customers that haven't somehow, some way figured out that shit has changed, or are we talking about people who genuinely want to see the game evolve? Because if we're talking
Right.
about customers that want to relive those Blockbuster days, you know, respectfully, you know, good on that conversation.
Respectfully. So I kind of you know related to like you know growing up, man. One of my favorite movies was fucking Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't tell me shit about Star Wars. That movie was the best. The graphics, the animation, the fight scenes, that shit was the best. You couldn't tell me nothing different.
Mm-hmm.
Some years later, I go back and watch that same movie. It don't hit me the same like it used to.
Yep.
Now I can see the string when the you know what I'm saying when the spaceship flying across space and the Death Star don't quite look the same like it did. Like, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying back when I was young and I was watching it. So from that they came up with different versions of Star Wars to try to grasp, to try to meet people where they are, to try to get the younger generation of people where we are now into that same type of nostalgia that they had when they came out back in the early '80s or whatever.
Yeah, I
And you
mean, you
know,
know,
and even with them, you have a lot of the older ones are like, it's okay, but they got a lot of critiques and shit to say about it because you know it's not the same and this, that, or the third. But you know, then you got the younger generation that's cool with it
you
because
know,
that's all they know. You
listen,
know,
man. You know, I'm a piggyback off of that. You know, when I was a little kid, I used to be petrified of the movie Jaws. It was hard
yeah,
to get me to go. You know, when you used to see, you know, see this big shark in the water coming out, and then years later, I grow up and see it's a big mechanical robot. It don't even affect me the same way. I'm like, how wasn't Jaws electrocuted under the water? Now is what I'm thinking. But at the time, it felt so real. You know what I'm saying? Like you
uh,
couldn't tell me in that moment it wasn't the best thing. And I think that correlates with a lot of a community and a segment of a community that we don't necessarily we're not really necessarily connected with that community like that, but they're still around. And you know, I feel like they're still wanting us to be the second coming of that Jaws movie when we're saying, listen, we have no desire to be the next dumb. Our only desire is to be the first us.
right.
You understand what I'm saying? I don't have a desire to do what your favorite organization did back in the golden era. I just don't, you know. I have a desire to fulfill what we are envisioning. Um to travel our own path and our own journey.
Yeah,
And a lot of people who can't accept that or embrace that, um, you know, those are our biggest critics because they want that Jaws movie again. They want
yeah,
that again, but I can't give that to y'all. I can't do that.
yeah. And then you know it don't quite hit the same like you
It don't
said,
hit
like
the same.
it don't hit the same.
Imagine getting up on a Friday afternoon and telling Taffy, yeah, let's go rent a movie, and y'all go into a store and walk up and down an aisle looking for a movie to rent. It's just it's not the same. Y'all have a better time just laying in the bed with the TV remote, scrolling through your smart TV with the access of any movie you want to watch right now. Times have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Times have changed. And for those that are holding on to the old times, sorry, I don't know what to do for you.
Yeah.
So and I think a lot of that, these metaphors and these examples that we're given, I feel like it's going to segue perfectly into a bigger part of the conversation in terms of who we are, what we're doing, and then what we're seeing in terms of the things that are being said about the direction that the game is heading in right now. A lot of people have a lot of things to say, but in my opinion, I don't believe a lot of the people who have these things to say are qualified to say these things that they're saying.
I mean, everybody's qualified to an opinion.
Nah,
It's just
everybody's
it's
not qualified to make certain
it's an
statements.
opinion. Everyone has their right to say what they feel. Now, how much merit goes behind what they say is another thing, but they have a right to their opinion on what
That's,
they think based on
but,
their point of view.
but that's what I mean in terms of qualification is the merit. Everybody got an opinion. If you right now, GP, tell me that you're sick, I can have an opinion on how you can get better, but I'm not qualified to diagnose you with anything because I'm not a doctor. Yeah, I got an opinion, right? So like, yeah, I can say, oh yeah, your back hurt, do this and do that. That's my opinion. I'm not qualified to give you the true, what I'm saying, feedback on how you really gonna make your back better. And so that's what I mean. Yeah, it's a lot of that. But nonetheless, I definitely believe that it could, it's there's a conversation to be had about a lot of things. There's a conversation to be had about a lot of things, man.
Yeah. So I guess to dive right on into it. What I mean, we might come back to a few things, but to dive right on into it is the conversation on as of late has been pretty much intermediate versus advanced. How can
Mhm.
we get it back to looking? I ain't gonna say like it used to look, but how can we get to look back where there's more advanced teams versus intermediate teams, or vice versa, or have you where you're seeing more and more teams playing in advanced versus playing in intermediate, and intermediate being that division where it was supposed to have been, like a stepping stone for teams and players to move up to advance. So, you know,
Yeah, man. I think that's
there's
a
there's a lot of pros and cons about how that looks and how you go about doing it. But again, you know, here we are.
yeah, man. And I certainly have my opinion on that. You know, I believe my opinion. I'm just gonna be honest. I believe I am qualified to give my opinion in this space because um, we've been doing this now for a good amount of time. Turf Wars, we entered the scene in 2019. And when we entered the scene, keep in mind that there were the likes of the circuits who were, doing really amazing things at that time, right? They were dominating the industry at that time. And there were a lot of other kickball organizations that were doing their thing. And we've been blessed and fortunate since that time, as we stand here in 2026, to still be here, having this conversation, hosting events, and weathering the storm all throughout. And so if it's a person who's kind of had a front row seat at witnessing the way that the game has evolved and changed, again, I believe that I'm more than qualified to make the statement that I'm making. As it relates to the advanced and the intermediate division, what I will say is that any one person that believes that there's a sole single reason why we're seeing the shift and the change in the advanced division, I think that you're you're false. You're wrong. I think it's weighted. I don't think that there's one certain thing, GP, that you could say, oh, this is the reason why advanced division is declining, and that has to be the reason. I just don't subscribe to that idea. I believe that there's a multitude of reasons why we're seeing the shift that we're seeing. And what
Right.
I will also say is, if you in your mind really believe that intermediate division is to blame for why you're seeing a shift in advance, I also believe that that's false. And I also believe that there's more to it than that. Um Hold on one second, GP. I gotta put this on mute real quick. Give me 1 second, okay?
How you gonna go into a whole soliloquy and put it on
Come on, man.
pause, man?
Hold on.
All right, so I guess since he oh, okay, I was just about to, I was about to get.
One second. It's gonna take 2 seconds. All right, so my bad about that, man. But what I was saying is, I believe that there's more to it, and intermediate division is not to blame for what we're seeing happening with advance. I just don't subscribe to that idea. What I believe is that most of the community and most of the outcry that we're hearing for advanced division to thrive and to grow is coming from a community that's familiar with that advanced world from yesterday's kickball. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay,
You follow where I'm going with this?
I'm picking up what you're putting down, brother.
So yesterday's kickball, it's that community that I believe has shown the biggest desire and the strongest appetite to see advanced division thrive. But it's also not coincidental that that community has aged as kickball has continued to grow. There's a direct correlation with the players that play advance and the age of those players that play advance as to why you're seeing a shift and decline in that division, right? I went back and looked at our reports, our metrics, our team listing. We have to be very honest with ourselves when we say this. A lot of teams that used to play advance no longer play kickball anymore. They just don't. They have phased out into other areas of their life. Some of them are starting families. Some of them are no longer interested in kickball. Some of them have their personal reasons towards the brand or what have you as to why they've elected to take a step back. But nonetheless, a lot of these players and teams no longer play kickball. Now, has Turf Wars created a funnel to keep the co-ed advance or the advanced ecosystem thriving and going? I would say no, we did not. We didn't create a funnel where we held intermediate teams and players' hands and said, okay, here's the next step for you to naturally go to now that you played intermediate. But in the same token, we're a recreational sports league. Is that our responsibility when you have players that sign up, register, and play, and this is what they want? Right? Then what I will also say is, in addition to that, as I sit here and talk about how we've been blessed and fortunate to be on the scene since 2019, a large part of our success, GP, has been our ability to remain relevant throughout those times. Connecting, bringing in, inviting new players and teams all across America. Players and teams who play locally within their own markets in their own regions, who play what style of kickball? Underhand. Underhand style kickball is the more common and the most popular style of kickball that's played in America. So when you see an intermediate division thriving at the level it is, that reflects the style of play that we're seeing all across America, it's natural to assume that that division is going to thrive because this is a style of play that these players are familiar with. You follow what I'm saying?
I agree.
So for me, I can't say that, oh, the reason why advance is declining is because intermediate is thriving. We have a tendency to always kind of look at the grass on the other in our neighbor's lawn and feel as though it has something to do with, it doesn't have anything to do with us. I think that advanced division can thrive. But what I believe is, it's going to take some appeal, some attraction, some teams to really kind of get in and say, okay, we are committed to playing this division and, let's get it, right? Which is what we're seeing in Gatlinburg where we're integrating the divisions in a way and in a format where it could potentially encourage teams to want to go to the other side. You see what I'm saying? So, but I believe it's multiple reasons as to why we're seeing the advanced division face this uphill battle. Players are phasing out, and while we haven't brought players to replace those players that are phasing out for that particular division, the new players in the new community that's coming in, the intermediate style of players, what they know, what they're comfortable with, what they're accustomed to. And again, I believe a large part of that is because that's the style of kickball that they play in their local markets.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe there's a lot more to this conversation, but I would challenge anybody in the United States of America to challenge what I'm saying and bring to me evidence and facts that will prove otherwise.
So basically what you're saying, in these other markets locally, the normal way that they know of playing kickball is underhand.
It's underhand.
And in attracting these teams from these other markets in different places, 9 times out of 10, they're more than likely going to sign up to the division that they're most comfortable with, in which they play all the time, versus playing in a division that this is the first time they're ever seeing it. But for us,
it only makes sense.
Something that we've seen since we've been playing.
Right. And it only makes sense to me. GP, you coached, and you're a hell of a fucking coach. Coach probably some of the best and the most talented women in the world as it relates to this game. If you were in a position where there was a tournament that was being offered, and there were 2 divisions that were being offered, and one of the divisions closely aligned to the style of play that your women play most frequently, which division would you sign up and play in if you wanted to give your women the best chance to compete and win? And there's a stigma about, oh, it's social versus advanced, or intermediate, but that doesn't take away their competitive nature or their competitive spirit. These players are competitors in either division. But let's be clear, the pitch style is one of the biggest differences in the game. Now, granted, you're going to see some IQ deficiencies between the divisions because naturally intermediate is breeding and attracting newer players who understand a little less about the game. Make no mistake about it, the competitive fire in nature is there in both divisions. And so, but I just said, to rewind real quick, if you're coaching a women's team, and I'm not going to use underhand versus sidearm or any style, but what I'm saying is if you're coaching a women's team and you guys play locally, you play a specific style locally in your market, and there's a national tournament that's offering multiple divisions, and one of the divisions reflects the style and mirrors the style that you play most frequently at home, which division are you can sign up and play?
That's I mean, I think that kind of varies in the difference between teams, because I know even with playing circuit when we first started, that wasn't quite a style of play that we were accustomed to playing. Like, we knew that you should bunt, but you really 9 times out of 10 motherfuckers really couldn't bunt back then when we first started playing this game. You could try to bunt, and then you just have to rely on your speed to get on, but it wasn't no painting the line and no shit like that. Mm-hmm. So when we saw that, we was like, oh shit, we will probably more than likely play in the division that we think that's more elite, because we felt as though we was elite. Mm-hmm. And whatever they had going on, we were probably going to try to assimilate to be that, to be the best, to beat the best type shit.
Mm-hmm. I understand that.
And then I would say also, I would say not only this, but I remember like St. Louis, the women from St. Louis, their league was kicking. It was no bunting at all. But that didn't stop them from jumping in there and getting introduced to a game that they don't play at all, to where the National League is how they change their game to play at home. So it just depends on the team. I personally think the difference is, one, the social media shit, and the mindset. The mindset isn't about building a team, staying together to beat the Shockwaves and the teams that's winning. The mindset now is, I'm tired of seeing this team take pictures with the trophy and counting the money and shit. I'm going to either join that team so I can be in the picture too, or I'm going to try to put together a team that's like that, where I can beat them. But if it don't work, I'm going to jump off and play on another team. To me, the mindset is different as far as that goes, because you yourself, if you had an opportunity to play varsity, but you know your skill set in basketball was more JV, you're probably going to want to play varsity. That's because that's the type of guy you are. You know what I'm saying? So the mindset to me is a little different. It's a little different, but I get what you're saying when you're coming from the angle that this intermediate type play is the play that's offered more in different locations and areas across America. That's the type of kickball that they see. And it's almost like when we first introduced kickball on ESPN. We all know the way of kickball that we're used to seeing it with the bunt down three, loaded up. But that was their first time probably seeing that type shit. So they was like, that shit was stupid to them. They never would want to play that type of kickball but to us who play this shit, who's been around this shit for a long time, a 2-1 game is fucking amazing. That's a good ass fucking game. Right. To us. But to other people that's not used to that, that's something that's outside of their realm, and that's not something that they find attractive, that's exciting to them. So I would say more than likely people will play in the division that represents them to what they normally play.
Right.
As far as going right now.
And so now what I would say is, you make a compelling point, and I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. And, I come from that day and age, and I come from that era where when you go and you compete in a national tournament, this was what was offered to you. It was one division only, right? And you work your way into the Magic and all of that. But can we ask a real question? As league owners, is there not a responsibility for us to create an environment and an experience where we identify all of the people who desire something different out the game and be willing to offer that? And I ask that because you look at one of the most powerful kickball organizations that have established themselves in the mid to early 2000s, even late 2000s. And who's to say that the reason why we no longer see them today is because of their inability to do just that?
Right.
You cannot tell me, I don't give a fuck what nobody says. Them good old boys or that circuit era or none of that. You cannot tell me with a straight face that the 40, 50, 60, 70, however many co-ed teams they want to say played during that time, that all of them were advanced teams. You can't tell me that. You just can't. So
what do you mean? What do you mean? Like you mean out of those teams, some of them should have been playing in, like, let's say, a lesser or intermediate.
Should have been playing in an intermediate division.
Possibly, but however, the thing about it was that didn't stop them from fucking registering every motherfucking tournament either.
We don't
know what I'm saying? Because I'll tell you this. I give you another example, right? When it comes to that shit, at that time there were other Goombay and other people. I would say the urban organizations were having tournaments as well, and teams stopped playing that because somehow, some way, the Goombay tournaments and the other urban tournaments had a little stigma as to, yeah, you might win that shit, but if you want to win, if you want to win in the NBA over here and not the ABA over there, this is where you're gonna play. Regardless of hold tight, regardless of, you knew when you going over there that the chips were gonna be stacked against you. You knew when you got certain refs, the motherfuckers were gonna start cheating. You knew that, you know what I'm saying, that it was gonna be, everything was gonna be stacked against you. And you had every right not to play in that, but because of the mindset that we had, we played in that motherfucker anyway to make sure to let them know, like, you could do all of this, and we still gonna be there and come out and start winning. It took a while, but it ended up doing it. So I just say that to say, it just goes back to the individuals and how they look at the game and where they are as far as they're being competitive.
It's sales 101 though. That's sales 101. And then also too, when you look at the industry during that time, I think it's safe to say that there was one group that I believe monopolized the market to a degree, because in the frequency, in terms of national offerings, you didn't really have too many other groups as we're seeing in present time,
right,
doing it like how they were doing it, right? So like there's also that when players and teams feel like there's nowhere else to go, they sacrifice and say, you know what? I know it's gonna be some bullshit when I get over here. I know these refs ain't gonna really fuck with us like that. I know that the chips are stacked against us from the time we get, we get out this rental car and step on the field, but we have nowhere else to go. And so a lot of but that's how
it was other places to go. They just still chose to go there though. You still chose to go there.
You chose it.
There was other places that you could have played.
There's nowhere else.
And back to the other thing, like you said, and you were able to be have access to playing against different teams and people that you've never seen before or met before, versus, like you say, playing against people from your area and the same teams is going to be there every time. So you want to take what you can get and go over here and then possibly have opportunity to travel different places and play against different people.
Mm-hmm. And it was the only offering of its kind that then, though. You wasn't getting the type of language that was used for those particular projects. You wasn't getting the type of the packaging and the sales pitch that was giving you back then. And I'm not saying that to minimize.
But again, I don't even know. I don't even think it was a big old pitch or a sales pitch. It was just like different set of kickball against different people.
But you just said it though. You said that it was said that, oh yeah, if you this don't matter if you win over there. You don't win until you win over there. That's a sales pitch, GP.
Yeah, but it wasn't said by such people. It was said amongst ourselves. Like I know I could win this anytime. I can go over here. I can win this. We've won it plenty of times. Let's see what we look like over. That wasn't nobody saying it because at the time they didn't know who we were.
All right, so now all
we
of this
just jumping out there.
So now all of this, I feel I feel like if we come full circle with the conversation, I feel like this certainly comes back to during that time. That's what it was.
But I think what the difference is, I don't see the teams wanting to stay together or put something together to beat a quote unquote shockwave. They're tired of them winning. I can't win no more. Oh, another division opened up. I'm gonna go play in that, so I ain't gotta worry about playing them no more.
Man, dog, it's a lot of factors, man. I think there's a lot of factors that we got.
I agree, but that's just my opinion, my point of view from what I've seen.
That's one of them. That is
because even going back to the pots, like people, it was one of the things that we're not paying out enough, But the thing about it is, the only people that's complaining about the pots and what should be paid out is the motherfucking teams that's winning. The teams that's losing are not complaining about a fucking pot. That just don't make no sense.
Yeah.
And then when they be like, okay, I'm gonna pick up and go play over here. Well, everybody that you've been whipping their ass over here is not gonna follow you over there, so you can whip their ass over there too. That just don't make no fucking sense.
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, I feel like
you said, it's a lot of reasons. It's a lot of factors that's behind it.
It's a lot.
It's just where you are when you started playing kickball and your point of view of how you see it.
And I think, and again, I think that a lot of it, I think in the first point that I was making is that when you look at the co-ed advanced division and look at the community that desires that division most, they come from that world. They come from that world. Look, but as it relates to a lot of the things that and then there's also some responsibility that this accountability and responsibility that these players and teams have.
Accountability.
Well. I've seen teams break up because of, they share the same pillow, and now we don't share the same pillow no more, and now the whole team get dismantled. There's that piece of it, right? There's other pieces where
but that's just not kickball because that's all co-ed sports.
But what I'm saying is you got to factor these things in. You have to factor these things into reasons why we see teams vanish and diminish. You see what I'm saying? And I think that, you know, it's a collection of things. But to assume or to say intermediate is the reason why advanced is not thriving, I disagree. I disagree with that. Oh, go back to just one style. For what? That'll be going back to Blockbuster. Why?
But I personally don't think going back to one style is going to
That ain't
bring
gonna
more
solve
teams.
shit.
No, I don't think it's going to bring more teams. They'll just go back. They'll just go play somewhere that they're accustomed to in that type of style of play. That's all.
All I want to know is if.
Shut up. You was about to say something stupid.
I was about to say something real. You know what I'm saying?
Real stupid.
You know, we've been blessed and fortunate enough, and I keep using blessed and fortunate, to have an organization that still is hosting and having kickball tournaments and still offering the game to hundreds of athletes across America that enjoy doing what? Playing kickball.
Yeah.
We're still here, GP, and haven't went anywhere. And people can say what they want about us and this, that, and the third, but we're still here.
Yeah.
We're still here. If I go back to my 2022, 2023, 2024 kickball Rolodex, and I go through and I look at all those teams that played and those players that played on some of these teams, many of which was advanced, GP, they don't play kickball anymore.
Yeah.
They left. They're gone.
Yeah.
Slim chance they're probably never coming back. They're not coming back for whatever reason. And it's not my job to figure out why they're not coming back. My job is to figure out how do we continue to remain relevant in this industry and grow this game. And so when I say we're not trying to be the second coming of them, we're trying to be the first coming of us, I mean that.
Yeah. I bet you, man, Nick Saban can wish everything would go back before the NIL came about, where Alabama was winning and was getting all the talent and shit.
I'm sorry, you know what do you I don't know what you want from me. What do you want? What do you want? They say we don't pay enough. We paid $50,000 and I'm still waiting for a post to acknowledge it.
Yeah, but you ain't paid the one team though.
I don't get it. We spread the love. We shared it across the table. We did it better than if one team got the 50 bands, that may have been worse. We spread it across the table and said, eight of y'all get money. All of y'all get paid. You get 15,000. You get 7,500. You get 5,000. You get 10,000. Right?
Well, it's damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Let me ask you a real question. You think that if that money wasn't paid out, it would have been as quiet as it is today?
No, they still would have been on your ass.
All right, man. So I don't know what these. A lot of times I don't understand. Like in a lot of cases, like, you know, what exactly is it that we want as a community, or what? Like, because it seems like in some cases you got a lot of suggestions that are being made that has us as organizers chasing our own tail. Things are being recommended. Things should be implemented. You guys should be doing this. You guys should be doing that. And then we do it. And it's not enough. Bring the water. Let me open the water for you. You know, but as it relates to advanced division, there's nobody more who would love to see advanced division thrive than myself. I just played 40 and up. And, you know, got that work. And I would love to see it thrive.
Y'all
and
got
I think there are things. That's the style of play that I know at my age. So when I go play, yeah, I'm always going to lean towards that division. But I'm also 41.
So you still on the young side of 40. So
I'm on, but you know,
you in your prime.
I'm on the young side. I'm on the young side. You know, but that's the style that I know. So yeah, I prefer that and I play it. But in the grand scheme of things, like, there are more players that are younger than me than players that currently play that are older than me. You feel what I'm saying? So naturally, that's just the way that the game is shifting and it's evolving. And I don't want to sound like the old man on the rocket chair on the front porch screaming at the kids who's running out in the front yard having fun.
Get out my yard.
Get out my yard. I don't want to be that guy. Like, let these people live, man. Let them live.
I still think the hardest part is trying to capture and bring in that that younger crowd to get them one to play the game, and then two to like the game or love the game enough to travel. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like I don't know. Sometimes with the younger generation, you just got to try to figure out and meet them where they at. Mm-hmm. And one thing where they're not at is spending money, except for what they want to spend money on.
Mm-hmm. But you got to understand that age. You got to understand the buying journey for most people who come and compete in these tournaments are young, established, responsible adults. But young, established adults, for the most part, who are positioned in their work careers, who have the disposable income, because the buying journey for a typical player requires what? Car rental, lodging, transportation, registration, food, and you're doing this for multiple days, right? So it does require that somebody has the flexible money to commit to something like this. If you think about the young age or the younger players that is important for us to capture, number one, a lot of them aren't in that position in life right now. Yeah. Number two, kickball is not that attractive to them at this age if they didn't grow up around the game and see it and was exposed to it, like we see a lot with the VU kids and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you look at these players or this younger community, this younger generation, they're just not. Think about you at 22, 23. What were you doing? I digress.
But the thing about it, had I been introduced to it, I probably would have been playing. I just wasn't. I didn't find out about it until much later.
I can't even say if I would or I wouldn't. What I will say is this: I feel like while social media is a gift and a curse, we've been gifted with the ability to not only our organization, but yours, Legacy as well, and other organizations out there use social media as a platform to extend our reach, right? And we've done it, I think, in a very effective way over the last year. However, I still think it's an uphill battle converting a lot of who's seeing this content into actual human beings on the field. It's still been an uphill battle. Yeah. Is it going to be something that Turf Wars figures out? Maybe not. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we're paving the way for another organization to come behind us and be the ones to kind of take the torch. I don't know what the future holds as it relates to that. But what I can say is I believe now more than ever, the game of kickball is reaching households at a frequency it's never done before.
I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that social media has played a large part in that. Do we have critics and a lot of criticism? Absolutely, yes. Every video, you're going to see negative comments coming in, flowing in. But what I can say is that when you see these videos with 300 negative comments, chances are it has over 12,000 likes and 13,000. You see what I'm saying? And you see what I'm saying? So like, it's all about, it's all about kind of like what you're willing to focus on. And what we're focusing on is the fact that we have been able to get this game in front of more faces than ever before. That's
not only that, but you getting into more faces in the comfort of their fucking own home.
Yeah, we're not even talking about TV. The TV was something that was monumental and groundbreaking, and it was something that I still hold near and dear, and one of the biggest moments of my life in terms of what I was able to accomplish in this space. I believe that we can actually put our social media reach, and have them run parallel. in terms of what social media has been able to do for us in terms of the reach as well as the TV. You know what I'm saying? I think they run parallel, man. I really do, because if you're looking at how many homes or how many people are actually seeing the game of kickball, I think we play a large part in that between what we've been able to do with our social media, and where this love gets spreaded across the masses is that while we're one group that's actually helping create and generate this exposure, man, we don't have no leagues out in every single city where these people are seeing it. So somebody live in San Antonio, Texas, and like what we have going on and want to play, they're gonna join a league in San Antonio.
Right.
And now San Antonio has benefited from what? Our ability to reach households and stuff like that, right? So like it's something where everybody's benefiting from it. And so, you know, the game is evolving, it's growing, it's changing. You know, if we're gonna dial back real quick to the advanced intermediate discussion, I think there just needs to be more. I love the dialogue that you and I are having in that space, because your mindset is saying, hey, listen, here's what I observed from my era, from my time, but you're not pinpointing one specific thing as to, oh yeah, that's the reason why I declined.
Oh no.
Well,
Like you said, there's a multitude of reasons.
It's a multitude of reasons, and we got to be honest. We got to be honest about that. Look, shit, man, I'm gonna be honest with you straight up, man. We had teams that would probably never come back to turf wars in advanced division because they just don't fuck with us like that no more. That's a personal reason. That's an advanced team we lost. I mean, it is what it is. Or 3, or 4. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, I know firsthand, we had a team that used to be consistently coming to our events. They no longer come. Hasn't come in 2 years. Why haven't they came? Well, the captain and the coach, or the captain, you know, they're building their family. Other things have become important to them in life. They don't have time for kickball no more. They don't have time to rally the troops anymore and travel here anymore and front people's registration anymore and find replacements anymore and merge teams because 4 people backed out at the last minute anymore. They don't got time for that no more.
Yeah.
These are the type of things that you see happening every single event. You know, and so we lost a team because of that, right? And it was a consistent team that we lost because of that. And we didn't replace them, right? Like we didn't replace that team, but this is the truth of the matter. You know who I think about all the time? I think about our guy Mike. We had him on the podcast, the one with the 3 kids who wrestle.
Oh, yeah.
Our guy Mike, you know, Mike used to be one of the most consistent, you know, consistent teams. Stop Playing was one of their teams. An advanced team that we used to see consistently across the board. Hey, look, you know, Mike's lifestyle, you know, now he's putting focus and emphasis on his children. They're wrestling now. They're doing amazing things, right? So Mike, while he loved and enjoyed playing kickball in the frequency he did, he shifted his focus on what was important to him in life, and now he's focused on that. So he doesn't have the time to do the type of things that he was doing to keep the team together, to keep it. But that was an advanced team.
Yeah.
Balls Deep was an advanced team that we saw. We haven't seen that team collectively as a unit since 2023. Right? It's 2026. We haven't seen them in 3 years. Things have changed with that group where, you know, they no longer, I don't know if they played in any other tournament since that time. But things have changed with that group where this was a team that used to play a lot of kickball, dominated in various tournaments that they played. We no longer see them. Things have changed along their path and their journey. Chris in the comments mentioned Incognito. That's another team, right? So like Washed Up is another team. I haven't seen them in 3 years, right? So they're just, but not only have I not seen them here, I haven't seen them anywhere. Is it safe to say that the teams have moved on to do other things in life? I think so. I think that's safe to say.
I mean, that's totally not far out of reach.
Not far out of reach. And then if you look at the age of the players on those teams, I feel comfortable enough saying that the ages of those players on all those teams are probably around my age. Plus minus 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, so You know, so I feel like, um, and I'll be honest, and I'll say it again. If anybody missed it when I was first on the call, I'll say it again. Did Turf Wars create a funnel to guide players from intermediate into advanced? No, we didn't. We didn't. Originally, we came into it with that mindset and that concept, and I think in our days, our early days, where intermediate or the social division was being offered, I believe the collection of players and teams that played then, for me at the time, the teams that were playing advanced compared to the teams that were playing social and intermediate, man, it made no sense in even bringing them over. But now there's a shift in what you're seeing in terms of the teams that are playing this style of intermediate.
Give me 1 second, big dog.
Yeah.
I'm still here though.
Well, no, what I'm saying is I feel like, the gap is closing in terms of the style, the way they play and things like that. When I first started offering the intermediate, or we first started offering the intermediate, it was really like the happy-go-lucky type kickball where, they're running the first base, trip, fall, and the whole team is celebrating and laughing. You're not seeing that now. And so during that time, that would have been the time where I think would have been the prime opportunity for us to introduce the concept where we created that funnel, because now a lot of intermediate teams that were attracted to what we were offering would have already knew, all right, this is the pathway that we have to take if we come in and do this. But we didn't establish that. And so I would say that. But at the same time, you know,
At the same time, I'm gonna keep you right there. In the same time,
I'm sorry, I had to turn the camera off real quick, say something to the kids, but yeah, so I think there's a lot there's a lot of reasons and factors behind why we're seeing what we're seeing. And I feel like a lot of times the loudest critics, they don't even play what we got going on. So,
oh fuck.
you know, I don't get it. I don't get it, man. But you got anything to add as it relates to that? Damn, you left?
No, not really.
Where you at?
I'm still here. I had to let the.
God, man. That's why you can't do no podcast with celebrities, man. Can't do it.
No. I had to let the garage up a little bit because I'm about to smoke.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, no, but I'm with you on that though.
Yeah, man. So I think there's so many things, and that kind of it's kind of partly responsible for why we approach Gatlinburg the way we did. You know what I mean?
And so for those, did you already explain that the format that you came up with it? Because in podcasts previous, you said that your tournaments was going to be in different like sectors, and you're going to have a Midnight Madness segment. You're going to have a Battle of the States segment and then in Gatlinburg you're going to have like a specialty segment where depends on the style of play, it might give you opportunity to try a different format.
Yeah,
And it's kind of like based on what some of the critiques were. You guys were very creative coming up with a format that would seem like it would give everybody opportunity.
Yeah,
like you said, you think no team left behind. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, man. So we did the Winner's Circle podcast, man. I'm sorry, the Legends Never Die podcast back in January. One of the things that we highlighted during that time was that 2026 and beyond for Turf Wars was going to be something that was different from what we've done in years past, and we were going to build out our experiences under different pillars. And one of those pillars being the traditional format, like we saw in New York two weeks ago. Another format or pillar was going to be the Battle of the States, where the teams are state specific. They're built by the teams, or the players are built by the state that you live in or that you were born in, right? Then we have the Midnight Madness pillar, and then we also announced and introduced that we'll have our special events. And what are special events? These are events and tournaments where we take these as opportunities and we hang our hat in introducing different concepts, different formats, different ideas to really kind of change the type of experience that we're giving to players so that it doesn't seem so redundant. You understand what I'm saying?
Change the monotony a little bit.
Change it up a little bit. So what did that look like for us last year? Okay, well, we could be playing on City Hall on the lawn with a NASCAR driver for $50K. That's a special event, right? Gatlinburg, for me, I felt like it channeled and embodied what a special event could be, coming fresh off in New York and being in such an environment that's so serene, so relaxed, and so laid back. And we know everybody go to Gatlinburg for the vibes, right? So for us, it was always pinned and labeled as one of those events that we can lean into that creativity. And then it just so happens that it all happened around the perfect time as this co-ed advanced and co-ed intermediate conversation is happening, because it's like, boom, this is our opportunity to do something without forcing the issue. And so the way that the cards played with the teams and the number of teams that was in each respective division was like, if we don't do this now, when are we going to have an opportunity to try to do this type of integration and do this type of creativity and introduce something to the players that may change the landscape of what we're seeing now? Woke up this morning super excited because it was like, hey, last night on the captain's call, we discussed with them and we talked about these dope ideas that we had for Gatlinburg. And that being that we came up with the concept, no team left behind. So what we decided to do, we had 4 teams that were competing in the advanced division because we recently lost one early this week, alongside the 16 teams that were playing in intermediate, right? And so collectively, that's 20 teams that's going to be competing on on Saturday. Now, coming out of New York, one of the things that we saw that we enjoyed most is that we were able to facilitate a project in New York where we walked away with 3 different champions on Saturday. There was essentially 3 championships. Love that concept so much. I was like, this is something, while having a short turnaround time, this is something that we could bring to Gatlinburg. More champions, more people playing what? More meaningful kickball. And so what we decided to do is we took those co-ed advanced teams and we said, look, we're going to go ahead and merge you guys over to play alongside the intermediate teams, but this is how we're going to do it. You guys are going to headline your own pools. Each 4 of you teams will headline your own pools. You got 4 of them. And in those pools, there'll be 5 total teams. Everybody plays each other one time. Advance, here's what you've been tasked with the responsibility of doing. Y'all are going to have 4 matchups against an intermediate team. Intermediate, here's your task and what you've been responsible for. Every intermediate team plays 1 advanced matchup, right? And then when it's all said and done, we pull our advanced teams. They go into their own single elimination bracket, semifinals and finals, regardless of how they performed in pool play. The next 12 batch of players and teams, they're going to be in the mid-tier bracket where they're competing for the intermediate championship. And then we created the new division called the redemption bracket, where the last 4 teams who typically have to pack it up and go home, you get an opportunity to play for a partial credit, which a lot of these players, this is a come up for them because they took advantage of the 50 for 50 that we ran. So everybody's playing for something and it's meaningful. Now, here are the check boxes that we check off and we accomplish in this. Number 1, we are giving the advanced teams, the new faces, the new blood, the new competition that they've been so much desiring and aiming to compete against. We're giving you.
That's what they've been asking for.
You're asking for. We're giving it to you. Intermediate, this is what we're giving to you. We're giving you an opportunity to stack up against one of these advanced teams to really see how you guys level out, because you never know. You give them a run for their money, or God forbid you beat them, you may go over and start playing advanced. We don't know. Now, here's our logic and our thinking as to why we defaulted with the intermediate pitch style. Advanced, y'all are coming to their house. They have the 16 teams. Y'all are coming to them. So by default, we're going to defer to their style of play, their pitch style. But what we're also letting people know is that, hey, listen, if y'all agree to play any style, so be it. That's on y'all. But if y'all can't come to terms, then just know that the default pitch style is going to be underhand. I don't understand where the uproar was. I don't get it. Then in addition to that, there's not a single advanced team that's competing on Saturday that has any advantage or disadvantage over the other, because they all have the same entryway and pathway in terms of what their competition looks like leading in. No one gets the one up. Nobody gets any secret tips, and you see your advanced opponent when it really matters in a single elims, because you all go to single elims, right? So for us, it just logically it made sense. And to be honest with you, this might be the most consistent bracket across the board, a consistent scheduling across the board that we've done in a really long time, GP. Where I woke up and looked at it and said, there's not a break anywhere in anything. Every single intermediate team has one advanced matchup. Every single advanced team has 4 intermediate opponents. Everybody's playing for meaning. Everybody makes it to the single limbs. We've never done it.
Everybody makes it to single limbs. Everybody has an opportunity, a chance to play for something.
So so some of the uproar, forgive me if I was a bit perplexed and taken back by what are we talking? What's the issue now? And so for me, I just feel like Gatlinburg is going to be, as always, one of the dopest experiences that we offer throughout the year. You know, I believe that once teams have an opportunity to take the field and get away from the internet, then that's when you're really going to see beautiful things unfold. Beautiful things unfold. And who's to say that this may not be the secret answer to getting back what so many players said that they desire most, which is seeing the division grow that they felt was dying. Because here's what I know, GP. We're not the only organization doing kickball tournaments. Everybody who's hosting kickball tournaments are hearing the same things that you and I are hearing. This division is dying. This division needs more people. This division is tired of playing the same teams. But who's actually going to step up and do something about it and try to make something happen? So we do it.
You run that pilot program.
Come on, man. Come on now.
You take all the bullets and the bows and arrows.
Come on now. But if this thing is a success and it just so happens to work out,
everybody's going to hop on and start doing it the same way.
Come on now.
You already know how it goes.
Come on now. So what so for me, I don't understand it. And while there's that side of the coin, I will say that there are a ton of people that have shown excitement and eagerness and willingness to be a part of this experience and can't wait. We have a lot of teams that have reached out and said, man, I love this. This is dope. Actually, this is actually dope. Bringing something fresh and different to the table. We were just in New York 2 weeks ago. We gave you traditional, right? One of the things about experiences, stuff like that, like we want to mix it up. We want to change it up. We take pride in having to pivot and do new things. Backs against the wall. How you going to come out and make that adjustment? Right? Like nobody would like to go to the same concert twice if they know they're going to see the same exact, well, unless the concert was amazing. I'm not going to say that. But if you know you could go to a show to see your favorite performer and show number 1 is going to be completely different from show number 2, but they both going to be amazing experiences, you probably go to both.
Probably go to both.
You probably go to both. But if you know that both shows are going to be identical, some people go to both. But me personally, I'm the type of person where I've already seen that. So, no need in me seeing it twice. I've already seen it. And you got a lot of people who do think like that, so, I personally, I've heard a lot of great things about the redemption bracket. I think that's going to be one of the funnest ones out there. You know what I'm saying? Because again, we used to send people packing their bags along their way. Say, hey, thanks for coming out. Enjoy the rest of your day. But now they have something to play for.
God bless. Good night.
God bless. Good night. But now they got something to play for. And I think that's I think there's something to be said about that. I think that I think there's something to be said about that. So personally, I love what Gatlinburg is gonna is going to be, and I'm very optimistic about the way things are gonna unfold.
Right quick. Some a little change of pace. Have you seen online the name that they came up with for that new Usher and Chris Brown tour?
I thought it was R&B.
Yeah, but guess what they calling it? I
What
mean,
they
they ain't
calling it?
shit. They calling it the
Huh?
Bumps and Bruises tour.
Why?
Just sit there and think about it for a minute.
I got it. I got it. Yeah, I got it. You came up
Yo, no. I read it. I'm like, bro, we ain't shit. That's fucked up.
with
That's fucked up,
man. I didn't see that one.
man.
I didn't see that one.
That's
You know, but
crazy.
no, but I think I think Gatlinburg is gonna be a dope experience. I think teams are really excited about um competing. We got a lot of players, a lot of teams that's gonna be up there, damn near 40 teams. Um, and Gatlinburg is always a vibe. We don't even do meet and greets in Gatlinburg anymore because it doesn't even make sense.
No, the meet and greet is at the house.
It's at the cabin. And
That's why you spend all that money on that on the cabins with the pool and the waterfalls and all that other shit.
so I'm torn though. I'm actually torn because I'm like, while we are a growing community and we have a new collection of players that are going to be there, like I'm sure that there's a desire for that portion and that segment of players to want to meet new people and come out and things like that. But I'm just kind of like, you know, I don't know how many people you can meet because they don't want to come out. So, you know, um,
Right.
it's just one of those things where the cabin kind of really is one of the key marquee experiences to Gatlinburg, and I think that trying to do a meet and greet kind of defeats the purpose of what Gatlinburg has kind of offered,
Yeah.
and so but yeah, so
Yeah, Gallenberg is gonna be dope, man.
yeah, yeah.
And then for the kickball heads, following right behind Gatlinburg is Carter Elite in Richmond the
Mm-hmm.
very next weekend. And I could say, I'm very excited. We're very excited about that new collegiate division. We had Norfolk State started registering today, so
Good.
we got three collegiate teams. We're hoping we get another one, but I think that's gonna be dope.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of them times you're trying to reach out to a young community and have them play. But the marketing is going to be a little different for them because they got to be more interactive and they got to be more fun based in order for them to get them out there. And once we get them out there, then we got something playing for them. So
Yeah, I mean, and I think that also too, kind of understanding them, their community, and knowing like, okay, we're going to do less games, right? And make the experience quick. Give them a sample size of like, you know, um, give them a sample size of like, you know, the experience and stuff like that. I think it's important. Um, because I think it could keep them coming back for more.
yeah.
They kind of, if you don't want to overexhaust them, but keep them coming back for more.
Yeah. But for those teams who are, the registration's still open. Continue to keep registering your teams, registering your players, and we're gonna get this thing rolling.
And then shortly after that, the week or two after that, we got Vegas. Vegas is coming up. Host Hotel, we're about to actually announce that. I think y'all are gonna love the host hotel that we're potentially gonna lock in on. Um, Midnight Madness, our first one of the year. It's gonna be a really exciting time for me personally. I have my second speaking engagement the week leading into Vegas, so I'll be in Ann Arbor, Michigan, on a speaking panel. I was invited to kind of you know do a speaking gig, and I'm super excited about that. Getting the chance to not only continue to tell the turf war story, but make meaningful connections. Um, and these type of the type of connections that we're going to be making could be of the overall benefit of turf wars, and of kickball in general. When you
Kickball
get
period.
yeah, when you get get in the rooms with um, individuals that have the ability to support your organization and help your organization take the game to new heights. Obviously, it's a trickle down effect because the players benefit from not only those experiences but the perks and the accommodations that come along with those experiences, right? So,
Yeah,
um,
I agree.
being in settings and being in rooms like this do matter and they are important. And you know, telling the story about not only turf wars but kickball in general, I think it's important. You know, and so that's what we will be doing. Then again, like I said, we'll be in Vegas to do Midnight Madness. So it's gonna be a busy summer for us, man. It's gonna be a real busy
Yeah,
summer.
you getting all the type of kickball you want.
Yeah, man. You get it's gonna be a plethora of it, man. It's gonna be more than most can handle. Um, and so I think it's gonna be really really cool, man. It's gonna be really cool over these next few weeks. I'm really ready for Gatlinburg though.
Yeah, yeah. I
Really
mean,
ready.
at some point, like kickball for a lot of people is a stress reliever. You know what I'm saying? You get your mind off everyday things for a little while for that particular weekend. Because one thing we know for sure, every time we cut on social media or cut on the TV, is something new fucking happening. Something new going on. There's something else that's being talked about or criticized and divided, division from all sorts of type of different shit.
Hmm.
If you say the sky's blue, there's gonna be 100 other motherfuckers say the sky's red. It just is what it is.
Yeah,
So
I think. uh,
kickball can serve as a purpose of just letting off some steam and getting your mind off of the everyday grind and just go out there and have some fun, man. So again, you
Yeah,
know,
and I
one
think I
thing you
think
don't want to do with all that shit going on is telling the motherfucker where they gotta play. Cause that's
yeah, I
one
think
more thing that like you know what I'm saying?
I think just kind of touch on that, man. It's this economic
You
climate that
always
we're
want to touch on
experiencing
some
right
shit.
now. This economic climate that we're experiencing right now, um, it's
We
um,
and as organizations, we feel that shit too.
it's unbelievable. It is unbelievable, because you got to understand someone like us in our position, our business is built on travel. Our business is built on tourism. Our business, that's the foundation and the backbone of our business. But when you're noticing that, you know, um, the cost of travel is more expensive, we feel that as organizations. Less players are able to travel because they got to make the decision in terms of whether or not I save that extra money or use that extra money on my gas or inflated prices on flights or what have you, and so
Or food.
or food, so like it's definitely something that's felt all the way around, all the way around. And I just hope and pray that it gets better before it gets worse. You know what I'm saying? I hope and pray it gets better before it gets worse. But tying into your point, this game that we offer is so therapeutic, and people have become accustomed to coming to these events not only to play the game, but stress relievers, get time away, vacations, and things like that. And so when when that is potentially stripped of a player because of affordability, we feel it, man. We feel it.
And like you said, it's fucking affordability all the way around.
Listen, man,
Every
it's
five every 5 minutes you find yourself filling your tank up again. Like
yeah,
I
and
get it.
so yeah, and it's tough, man. It's tough. Um, and like I said, I hope it gets better before it gets worse. For a lot of people, but the for sure the economic climate that we're in right now is one that um I personally believe that we haven't experienced to this magnitude before as an organization,
Yeah.
right? Like,
I think the only thing that was closest to that was probably COVID. COVID.
I don't I want to say COVID, but a lot of us thrived during COVID because stimulus
We
checks
was
went out.
we not only that we were able to save a lot of money because a lot
Save
of
a
things,
lot of
a lot of
money.
shit
Yeah,
was closed.
so a lot of people was in the house. Stimulus checks was popping. PPP loans was going around. So actually, there was
PPP
a lot.
loans running rampant.
So there was a lot of money just being given away. You know, there was a lot of money that was circulating around that time, and so I don't know that we felt the same type of economic impact then that we do now. Um, One of the things, the biggest takeaways, I don't even know if we recapped New York or not, but
We
one of
didn't.
the big, we didn't.
No,
Yeah, one of the biggest takeaways from New York, and it was all over social, and it's just how expensive it was. Now, New York naturally is already an expensive city,
already.
right? But like you combine that with where we are today economically, it was very expensive. You know, it was a very expensive trip. So I say that to say, while we had an amazing showing in the city of New York, there could have been we add about 10, 15 more teams to that experience if it wasn't as expensive as it was. We had a lot of players and teams that had to drop. They had to drop. And so
Well, New York, just like I would say any of those tournaments on the West Coast, Arizona, Vegas, that's not one of the things you wait till the week of to get your flight.
can't can't do it.
So
Can't.
that's not one of the things. It's one of the things that actually have to be planned out.
Yeah. Now, what I
Well,
will say is this: out of all of the tournaments that we've done this year, I think for New York, I think we prepared most in terms of trying to make
mitigate.
sure that. hmm hmm we did that more for that one than we did for any of the other ones. Two host hotels, public transportation, um, um, public transportation options, maps, directions, and all of these different type of things. And so I think that we did try, but you did have a collection of people that kind of waited until it was convenient for them, which may not have been convenient overall, to do it. So
Yeah. So with that being said, we just got a surprise guest onto the show.
Hey y'all.
She's
hey,
wearing
what's
her
up?
alma mater.
What'd you say?
I'm saying you're wearing your alma mater on your shirt.
Oh yeah, NCCU.
God dang, man. Yo, you swear somebody always talking bad about you.
They do.
Did you just intentionally move your camera?
Yeah, I had to show my NCCU
Oh, okay.
while I'm sitting in my living room with my
Mm-hmm.
piano.
Yeah. The motherfucking piano ain't been played in years.
Do you know how to play the piano, Dr. Shelley?
I actually, okay, yes and no. I know how to play the xylophone, which is the same keying. So I use mallets instead of my fingers. And I can still read sheet music.
I used to play the drums and could read sheet music when I was in the seventh grade.
For
And
real?
hmm
I played the trumpet and the clarinet too.
I played the drums. I played the snare drums in seventh and eighth grade.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you use the original drum line.
Yeah, I was the original drum line. Then I got
I,
picked
I
up.
really I really think you could have played Nick Cannon part for real.
Why you think I could have played Nick Cannon
No, I'm
part?
just saying that looked like the type of role that would have been you, like the rambunctious, you know what I'm saying, going against the grain type shit. I'm making about me type shit, and then
You
had to
think
learn teamwork.
you think that's how I operate?
Yeah,
You think I operate in that sense?
bruh. Halftime, you went and put on your clothes and went and sat in the stands, bro.
Why would you bring that up?
You
That,
did
that,
that,
that
Ariel.
that's some drumline shit.
Yeah, Dr. Shelley, I did, man. It's still honestly it's still one of my biggest regrets today. I quit. I quit on my team when I was in high school.
Oh.
Yeah, I quit on my team when I was in high school. I was a senior in high school, and I quit at halftime. And I felt bad about doing it. Yeah, like, and it was so but and I never talked about this part, but what was so unfortunate about it was that our assistant coach at the time, he was a coach. He was at another high school. He was at one of our rival high schools, and he ended up coming to be the assistant coach at our high school. And the
Mm.
reason why he ended up coming to be the assistant coach is because him and my head coach were really good friends, but his daughter died in an accident. She was riding her bicycle and got hit by a car that summer.
Oh.
And he was going through it so bad that our high school coach was like, hey, why don't you come to our school? We know how much you still love coaching. Come here and, get some normalcy. And that game where it was all about myself. He was the one trying to talk me out of it, right? Like, hey, don't do it. And I'm thinking, here's somebody who has dealt with way more in life than I could ever imagine dealing with. And he's trying to talk to me about doing it. And I can't even get out of my own feelings and out of myself enough to even take his advice and listen to him. So that's one of my biggest regrets. That honestly was one of the poorest moments in my life. And so for me, I just make sure that I use that as a reminder to don't quit, don't give up. But then I try to instill that in my kids too. Like, hey man, y'all don't, if you start it, finish it. That was really one of the darker moments in my life in terms of bad decisions that I made. I hate that I did that. I really do.
Well, there's nothing wrong with life lessons, man. I'm sure we all, at some point in time in our life, felt bad about something or decision that we made, and we ended up making it a life lesson that, one, we will never do that again, and two, that's something we're going to instill in our children coming up, or friends that may be going through something. So
yeah, and then, and I think one of the things that we talked about, GP, on this call was accountability, and I think that a large part of the reason why I did
we actually didn't touch on that.
No, we mentioned it.
We mentioned it.
We mentioned it, but we didn't touch on it. Pause. I wasn't willing to be accountable at the time. I wanted to blame everybody else but myself for not being accountable. And I think a large part of that was because my senior year, I had such a disappointing season where I really was like, optimistic about what I could have done had I, at least kind of had a good season and things like that. But my season was so disappointing that I found a way to blame those around me and not take accountability and blame myself. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So me quitting was technically like me quitting on the team, but I really quit on myself. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that was, again, that's just not one of my proudest moments in life. I tell you that.
Accountability is tough.
Yeah, it's tough. It's
But,
tough.
but everything starts there, though. Once you take accountability for yourself and your actions, then you can start to appreciate and move a little different once you can see your errors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm old enough and wise enough now to admit or to reflect on it and know that it wasn't the right thing to do. And I don't talk about it a lot, but I don't, I will talk about it, but I'm not proud of it though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not proud of it. And maybe that has a lot to do with why I'm wired the way I am today, man. Why I'm, when I find something that I enjoy doing, or I'm driven and dedicated and try to make sure that I give it my best and put my best foot forward, is because, I know the feeling of not taking accountability and quitting on not only yourself, but those around you. And it's not a good feeling. It's not.
Yeah, accountability.
Yeah, so.
That's a word a lot of people are not familiar with and don't act on.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to look yourself in the mirror. That's just my 2 cents.
Did you have a moment that you want to reflect on as to a decision that you once made that you kind of wish you didn't make it? I don't want to say regret, but well, while you think about it, I'll say mine. I being as though we're being open and vulnerable, I'm here to be accountable to say that it was very wrong of me to go in that trash can and get that kicking line up out of the black of the Mambasitas, because I was making it about me. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing what the things that I said could possibly have affected that team moving forward, and possibly not playing again. And that was just disrespectful to the coach. But I apologize, man. I
Who
shouldn't
was
have
the
did.
who was the coach?
Some. He was selfish too, but
Oh my God, man. Hey, real quick, before I forget, I gotta give a big shout out to my twin, my guy. Shout outs to Rory for graduating kindergarten. You know,
Yeah.
that's my guy right there. And he had a big accomplishment last Friday. My guy graduated kindergarten. He a big boy now. He going to first grade. So I wanted to go ahead and put that out there. You know,
one of many.
you
One
know,
of many graduations that I see in his future.
yeah, man. So
Yeah.
he gonna be a congressman, man. That boy gonna be a congressman, man. He already moved like a politician, so I know he gonna be a congressman, man. But that's my guy. I want to give him a shout out real quick.
Actually, right quick, man, we can go ahead and do that. I mean, shout out to all the
The graduates.
graduates. You know what I'm saying? This
Yeah,
school year is coming to a close, and everybody did what they needed to do to take that next step forward in life. And I'm gonna give a special shout out to my man Uche. He just graduated and got his master's.
congratulations.
That's a big accomplishment, and you know, ain't too much I can say about Uche. Uche is a cool individual, man. He's a cool individual, and he does everything the right way. So
Yeah,
people like that, you tend to root for.
you root for him, man. You root for him, man. Man, very mild mannered, very cool, laid back. Just be chilling, man. About like me.
Y'all almost the same height.
Yeah, we almost the same height. We're almost the same height. You know. Yeah, man. Congratulations to him, though, man. For real.
Congratulations to him, to Rory, everybody that
Yeah,
walked across that stage, man,
all the graduates, all the
and did what
graduates.
they had to do.
Yeah, all the graduates, man.
Mhm.
Congratulations to y'all. Um, but yeah, and then we got a lot of cool things happening down the pipeline as far as just things to look forward to for this summer and the fall and the winter. And I also want to let players know now, please, please, please get your passports. Please, um, get your passports. As a matter of fact, to even have to say that in 2026 is kind of it's disturbing. But please get your passports because
Well, shit. Now you need that motherfucker for more than one. Just that use.
yeah,
Mhm.
well we all going on a journey in 2027 and beyond, and maybe one or two of the destinations that we go to, it may require that a passport is needed, and so we're gonna ask that make sure that you get that and start kind of sharing some things about where we want those stamps to be collected at, but get your passports. I'm saying that now before I say anything else.
Oh, I did think of something.
Okay.
So this is a long, long time ago, but you know how your Facebook memories, like I be looking for it every day or whenever I get on social media to look at my memories. So some of these memories when I would whoever pissed me off, when I would either do a live or a post, my apologies.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
it.
You got to start from somewhere.
Is that just for the memories, or is that for any recent posts, or is that just in general? Like,
Oh, I've been delivered, Ariana.
Have you?
What, GP? You look like
No,
you want to say something
I
smart.
don't want to say anything.
Oh,
I don't want
yeah,
to say anything. I'm just asking.
yeah, that's it. However, I meant what I said at that present time when it happened. But it doesn't mean it was right.
hmm yeah. But what we say, accountability, man. It's good to when you do something and it's not right, own it, and take accountability and apologize if you need to. Um, and make things right if you need to. But yeah,
But you know what? Two wrongs don't make a right, though. But sometimes you gotta bust that left.
Mm.
That's a phrase people don't really agree on, but I like
Yeah,
it.
it's all about perspective.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's all about perspective. I tend to I don't know if others view it this way about me and stuff, but I tend to avoid conflict. I don't really engage in conflict like that. I avoid it.
Really, really.
You don't think so?
You be the main one charging down that hill towards conflict.
Man, but you gotta realize what gets me there though, man. What it takes to get me there. But I don't think I do though.
No, I'm just messing with you,
Oh,
man.
I'm about to say I think I be chilling for the most part. Like, you know, I can't remember the last time I crashed out, man.
Mm.
I can't remember. And the older I get, the less likely I feel it's gonna happen in my days ahead of me.
Yeah.
I just any crash out that I had in my system is behind me, unless it's anything family related, then that warrants. And I think everybody could agree with that. Like
Mm.
that's a uniform crash out. Like that doesn't even that's a standardized crash out if you're talking family, right? Like anybody try to mess with the family, the kids, and things like that, then that's another discussion. But if we're talking just kind of like things that you'll forget about in 24 hours, yeah, nah.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't really like conflict either.
Hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. That's it on that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Crash out queen.
Yeah.
I have not crashed out in a long time.
Oh, okay.
All right, Dr. Shelley, I gotta ask the question though.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I
What, Ariana? What I do now?
no, I mean, okay, so I'm gonna ask the question, and I'd like for you to kind of talk about it, just and help enlighten me. What happened with this whole camera situation in New York? What happened?
Okay. So you never know me to be a liar. So, I stream it, it's live, it's going. And I got a message that someone moved your camera. So I'm like, how would someone move my camera? That's what I'm initially thinking because my Mevo is on the mount is metal and the mount is actually literally on the pole. I mean, the mount is magnetic, so it's literally on the metal pole. So it's not windy, it's not storming. So how can my camera just fall or move if it's a magnetic mount on a metal pole? So the way my camera is, it films the entire field, including the sidelines. So the thing also with the Mevo camera, it picks up everything. It picks up conversations, even if you sit in a little further down. It'll even pick up when let's say my hand is on the camera and it's being turned or adjusted, it even pick up that noise.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went and saw that my camera was facing the opposite direction, but still on the metal pole, not the fence, but the actual pole, to me, 2 plus 2 equals 4. So somebody had to literally physically move the camera because it was locked. So and at the time when I was walking to the camera fussing about it, I don't know who did it because the camera is still going, it's still streaming live. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm more PO because why would someone intentionally touch my stuff that's on a metal pole above my head. And yeah. So when I got to the airport, that's when I was able to review the footage.
Okay. And so, in your mind, do you believe that it was
So that's
intentional,
what happened.
or have you dismissed the idea that it could have been a simple mistake?
I'm sticking with intentional for 500.
Okay.
It's intentional. But
Okay.
hey, I could be wrong. I can admit when
Mhm.
I'm wrong, but if you look at the footage, it and the camera is literally above, and it's been streaming for almost a half an hour. How could it randomly just fall
Yeah.
when no balls are hitting the fence, hitting it? Like, it just doesn't make logical sense to me.
Well, I didn't see anything, or dial into that scenario and everything that took place. So I honestly couldn't give an opinion in terms of what happened. That I didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? But I was just curious to know if, in your mind, um, did you ever think about the fact that it could have been an accident? But you said that you're adamant that it was intentional. So okay.
You literally have to reach up. I mean, I'm only 5 feet and a half, but
You
it's
taller than
up.
GP.
Taller than
So,
you.
Okay.
but hey, like I said, I could be wrong. It's above me now. It's between them and the Lord.
Okay. Well, you know,
But and for those who don't know me, like, I have a ha ha he he personality, so I kind of find humor in different things. Probably some things I shouldn't even be finding humor in, but
mm-hmm.
that's just me.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully that's something that um, is not something that would continue to linger on, and everybody is okay and past it, and not that anybody's holding on to it, but I know whenever we come out to these events, everybody want to have a good time, especially post event. You want to reflect on the positive things and the good things that happen. So
Mhm.
it sometimes it sucks when that's not something that you feel like you can highlight because of something that taken place that I guess you felt like it was intentional. So obviously you have a platform to speak on that. But I was just
Mhm.
curious.
And usually, even let's say if I had my tripod, because I didn't have my tripod, but let's say if the ball hit the tripod, or let's say if it was on the actual fence. I'm using lead ball for example. If my mount, not my magnetic mount, but I got a fence mount. Let's say it was on the fence and the ball hit the fence and the camera fell. Like, 9 times out of 10, somebody be like, "Shelly, your camera fell," or they'll pick it up or whatever the case may be. But something would have been mentioned that the camera need to be adjusted.
All right, understand. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Okay.
forgot all
So,
about that.
so
Okay.
that's that on that.
Okay. I was just curious. I just wanted to see if there was any anything you want to be mentioned on that.
Yeah.
Uh, GP.
But for the record, y'all, don't intentionally touch my camera. But if it falls and it needs to be adjusted, that's fine. Like, just don't be mean.
Mm.
Why are you laughing, GP?
I'm laughing at his face, man.
No, I was looking at the kids that were going upstairs. They be doing the most, man.
Mm.
Right when it's around showtime.
Yeah, man. So, um, okay, but Doc, you coming to Gatlinburg? You gonna be in Gatlinburg?
Yeah, I'll be there Friday.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna come back home Monday.
Oh, you
I don't
about to
know
go?
if I feel like driving afterwards on Sunday.
Yeah.
How far is the drive is that for you?
I think like four and some change.
Mhm.
4 hours from Atlanta.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe about 5 hours.
From Atlanta, it's 5 hours from
I don't
Gatlinburg.
know. Let me see. That's what I'm guessing.
Damn, I thought it was 30.
Gatlinburg.
I
It's
thought it was
3 from Charlotte.
Oh, it's 4 hours.
oof.
It's not too bad because even from Charlotte, like after the tournament, I usually drive back home.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Once you get past that first leg,
Hmm.
it's pretty easy to kind of coast the rest of the way. Then if you find you a hostage, somebody to talk to on the phone to get you through a portion of the way, then you smooth
Oh,
sailing
that
after
definitely
that.
go by fast.
Yeah, it definitely go by fast. I'll call GP in a heartbeat. Hey man, what you doing? You at Taco Tuesday? I'll hold him hostage for a little minute. Get me through about 45 minutes to an hour on that road. Be like, man, well, I ain't want nothing. So,
Hmm.
um, okay, cool. Yeah, so you playing co-ed?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
I'm going moonshine tasting.
Excuse me. Excuse me. You coming to the fields?
Oh, I'll be at the fields.
Okay.
And then,
Okay.
oh, we're doing the little orbit thing. You know, the, golly, what is that thing called? The big circle bubble thing. You get in and it's some water in and it rolls you down the hill and it's like different courses you can go down. You
Mm-mm,
know
I
what
haven't
I'm
heard of
talking about? Gravity something.
Gravity ball or something like that.
Orbit, something like that. I don't know. I'm going to do that too.
it. I haven't heard of that.
You have it. It's fun.
Mm-mm. There's a lot. There's a lot in Gatlinburg, Sevierville that I haven't done, but also too, I think that I need to be more intentional about when we do have these events, building a day or two for me to explore what that city has to offer.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been all over the country, and a large part of my experiences when I go is confined between what my lodging feels is business, and I don't really I don't really take an opportunity for myself to venture out. And so I think now moving forward, there's going to be two things that I really make intentional. One, dedicating a day to venture out. Two, a recovery day for sure.
Oh, you got to
After
have that recovery day.
all said and done, because I haven't been doing a good job at that. Um, I haven't really been. And so what ends up happening is when you don't build out a recovery day will find you. And you think you could keep on moving at a normal pace that Monday and that Tuesday, Wednesday, it'll catch up with you.
That's a
It'll
Thursday,
fact.
get you.
you. So, you know, might as well just get it out the way and just take time to reflect, unwind, unplug. Um, and it's been suggested to me several times before. I just done a really bad job at really kind of taking the advice that was given to me in terms of building a recovery day for myself, and I think I need to start doing that.
Hmm. Yeah, usually after tournaments, I usually take Mondays off.
Yeah, yeah, just to kind of, unwind and unplug is what they call it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because you're on business mode the whole weekend.
The entire weekend, man. And then like New York was like pretty cool in terms of just like unplugging from business mode for a brief moment because like my mom was there, my aunts was there, like one of my buddies that I went to school with, he came and pulled up, and
Hmm.
then there's GP. I don't know if you experience this when you do your tournaments and stuff like that, but there's a moment in the tournament where you disconnect from the work, and you're like, okay, the hardest part of the weekend is probably already over with. It's behind me. And I don't think that there's anything that's going to happen that's going to change the outcome of where we are right now. So now I could woosah and lean into the having a good time, the walking around, the connecting with people and stuff like that. And so I had that moment a few times in New York where I'm like, all right, the pool schedules have already been calculated. Single limbs have started. Teams are moving. They're coasting. Games are finalizing. They're finishing up. Music is playing. People are chilling. Shoes is off. Sandals are on. All right, let's kick it real quick. I know that if anybody hit my radio, it ain't gonna be to put no fire out at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's starting to clear, and so those are the best times for me when I'm really in those moments and really try to just be like enjoy it and absorb the energy, and I'm ready to do that in Gatlinburg.
Now, one thing I did not expect in New York, it was the I did not know Lyft and Uber was that expensive. Do you know how much I
Yeah,
spent in Lyft?
I can imagine.
And I got there Saturday morning.
If that was your primary
Got there
transportation.
Saturday morning and left Monday morning.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's always that expensive too. It's always that expensive. So and the crazy thing about it is not. It's like, oh yeah, nah, that wasn't just a one off type of thing, you know. But what I also have to factor in is that with the traffic being so crazy and the demand being so high,
Mm.
is that these Uber drivers they have to they can't take somebody from point A to point B for $10 when they know there's 100 other people trying to get a ride and it's going to take me 20-30 minutes to get you from point A to point B. So the money that I have to make during this small window, I got to get it on my drive or on my passengers. I have to,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it makes sense that that the prices are as inflated as it is, because in the South, you can make that $150 on an Uber ride between three
Mm-hmm.
or four passengers, I would assume. In New York, because you have the time to go from point A to point B, point A to point B, you're picking up, dropping off, no traffic, right? In New York, I don't think you have that luxury.
Mm-mm.
I don't think you have that luxury. I think that in this 30-minute window, I can only drop off and pick up one passenger. So I gotta make that money now.
Mm.
And
One
if
time we was in traffic for an hour and a half. No, about 2 hours.
think about, as an Uber driver, think about how much money you're losing in that
Mm-hmm.
window. You see what
You're
I'm saying?
right.
Like, yeah, you're losing a lot of. If I'm an Uber driver and I just spent 2 hours of my time and only got paid $22, I'm livid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm upset. You see what I'm saying? Um, so that's why it's like that, you know. And that traffic, if that traffic ever was to die down, you know, then that wouldn't be a case. And then, also too, there's much more affordable ways to travel in New York, but a lot of people that being their first time are not comfortable taking public transit. They're not comfortable taking the subway or the bus or the train. And I wholeheartedly agree, because I had my kids up there, and what I could tell you that we was not gonna do was get on anybody's subway. And I got to keep telling my kids, don't touch that. Take your fingers out your mouth. Don't pay attention to what you see over there. Cover your eyes. Don't listen to that. Like, So I made the decision that my transport my transportation from point A to point B that weekend was gonna
Mm-hmm.
be in a manner that didn't have to expose my kids to that or subject us to that. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that public transportation is a nightmare.
I
I
didn't
mean,
feel like trying to
uh,
figure it out.
that
Yeah.
that Uber, yeah, it's a nightmare. Yeah, I mean, and then it didn't help that the airports sold out of rentals.
That
You
was another thing. But then I was thinking, well, if I get a rental car, where am I going to park? That's going to take up more time trying to find a park.
yep, that's another thing. So finding the parking, and going to a restaurant isn't as easy as just pulling up in their parking lot and parking. You got to circle the block. You got to find a parking deck. Then the parking deck you got to find. You got to make sure that has parking available. You get out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot. Then you got to walk a few blocks to get back to the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And so it could be a lot, but it's one that I'm glad that so many players had a chance to experience it. From what it seems like and what it appears is that a lot of players really took advantage of sightseeing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and going to Times Square and Liberty, Ellis Island to see the Statue of Liberty, Ground Zero to see where the Twin Towers were, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, the Brooklyn Bridge, Queens Bridge, the RFK Bridge that was behind that. That was the backdrop. The Robert F. Kennedy Bridge at Randall's Island. That was the bridge that was in most of the pictures and stuff like that. Being on Randall's Island and being surrounded by that water at the fields and seeing all of that, I think while it was an expensive trip, I think a lot of players managed to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, it's memories. Memories are priceless.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I
Nah.
even had one of my Uber drivers. He was we was in traffic. This was a separate time. We was in traffic, and he was like, "I'm gonna just let you out right here."
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not. You're gonna let me out where you supposed to let me out for this $86.13 ride.
Yeah, that's right. Hello. I know that's right. I know that's right. Yeah, but it was a good experience, and if all things work itself out, maybe that's somewhere we could go back next year. Hopefully, the economic um, climate that we're in would make it more affordable for players to attend, and then also too, I hope that players um, take more advantage of like the work that we do as an organization to put things in place to make it more affordable for you guys.
Mhm.
Like like a lot of the things that we do is like, GP, I know Legacy does it as well, is when we plan these events out, it doesn't just start and end with the game on the field. We try to find host hotels. We try to, there's a lot of stuff that we try to do with great pricing and stuff like that. These hotels, they block off these room blocks for us. They try to give us better rates and stuff like that. And, a part of our responsibility during that weekend is to really drive players to stay in there, and naturally so. Players prefer Airbnbs because of the camaraderie under that roof and stuff like that. Like, no one's ever gonna believe in a million years that we're gonna get Dr. Shelley to stay in a hotel in Mesa, right? But like, um, but for those that haven't committed or looking for lodging and wait until the last minute, those are things that they probably should take advantage of early, because once the hotel room blocks close, the
Mhm.
hotels are very reluctant to reopen them. Then the hotels are looking at you sideways, like, I thought you said people could stay here, and we're looking like, well, we thought they was too because of the deals we were offering. So, you know, um, it's one of those things where it maybe takes some of that happened in New York in terms of inflation and pricing for people to kind of say, you know what, this time around, I'm gonna jump on things a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
a lot of times, prior planning and researching the places that you're going to get a better understanding on, the costs around some of the things that you're going to be doing, to where you can try to, like you said, take advantage of the things that that we try to provide to try to help mitigate the cost for players. But at the same time, they can only stay open but for so long,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, those businesses, those hotels, they got to make money too.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? So, you know,
Right. Yeah, they got to make money. They have to make money. They have to, they have to release the rooms if they're not getting picked up by the players. But also too, I think that the players, while it's not something that I imagine that the players really have a desire to know, high level, when players do stay at the hotels, they put organizations in a space where we as a group could do more for the overall experience just by you staying in the hotel, right? Like, with the partnerships that we establish with these hotels, that can give us the leverage to um, negotiate certain deals with some of these cities that we're coming into. And those negotiation tactics can lead to better fields, better sponsor, all type of stuff, right? It's a much deeper conversation, but it does sometimes, a lot of times, start with the hotels. Like, can we get these heads in these beds and get you guys staying here? And then, if we can do that, then you could see how it impacts the overall quality of the event because of how we're able to use it as leverage. So,
Mhm.
just a tidbit, just a FYI.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Was that high level GP without going too deep into it?
That was high level.
High level. So, so yeah, and it's, I mean, you just want to, establish a good relationship. And a lot of these adults, got, Marriott points and all that, man. Take advantage of that stuff. Use your points.
Mhm.
Get free hotel stays and, comp room and all that stuff.
That's true. I normally stay at the host hotel.
Yeah, yeah, so.
The Mesa is just different since it's gonna be my birthday.
Yeah, Macy's gonna be a good time. Macy's gonna be a good time,
Mhm.
you know. So yeah, there's that.
Well, we coming up on that magical 2 hour time frame.
Mhm.
I feel as though that we got a lot. We discussed a lot, especially as far as Dr. Shelley. You missed the advanced versus intermediate discussion, and some of the things that we hope to see it come back to, or how it's going to look like in the future, and some of the things that we're doing to create a better atmosphere for employment.
Give me a quick recap.
Yeah, GP was just talking about a lot about nothing. No, a quick recap in 2 minutes. I'll try to keep it a minute and a half. We both just gave our perspectives on what we believe plays a part or plays a role in why we're seeing some of the divisions thrive versus the others not. And my overall take was I don't believe that advance is suffering at the hands of intermediate. I don't think you can marry those two um those two divisions and blame one for the other. And then my other point was that um I feel like the advanced division is a division with a community of players that come from a previous world of kickball where that's what they know most, and so that's what they're aiming to have. And you have a new community of players that may not necessarily be familiar with that world, and they're only playing the style in the world that they know now. So that was kind of my take on it.
Okay.
Would you agree, GP?
That's a good cliff notes.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I would summarize it. And then I think GP he kind of just talked a little bit about, as someone who comes from that world, some of the things that encouraged him to stay within that, and what kind of led him and his teams to desire wanting that style. And so can some of that mindset penetrate today's game? And is there some responsibility from the organizations to try to instill that mindset? Would you say that that's fair, GP, in terms of some?
Great cliff note.
That's the cliff note. So that's kind of what we talked about. But we gave a lot of metaphors, and we gave a lot of examples, and we dropped a lot of F-bombs. Well, I know I did. So there's that.
I'm gonna go back and watch it.
Yeah, so there's that, so it was and we had some players chime in too, so in the comment section, and give their take and stuff. So yeah, so it's cool.
So are we gonna be back next week?
Are we gonna be back next week? That's up to GP.
It would have to be Wednesday.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it would be a good idea to do it next week, considering the fact that Legacy Richmond is coming up, and I'm sure that there's going to be some conversation that you guys would like to have leading into that. So I would imagine that's something that's on the table.
Okay.
Absolutely, and then it'll be a great recap of Gatlinburg as well. So
yeah.
Coming out of one tournament, rolling into the next one, that's a lot of stuff for us to talk about and a lot of information to put out. So, I'm going to put in my calendar next Wednesday at 8.
Okay.
And make sure you bring your rain gear for Gatlinburg.
Yes, ponchos, tents, and the little pods, the little rain pods.
Weather pods.
The weather pods, because it is gonna rain. It is gonna rain up there. Like SWV said, GP's favorite song.
That was your favorite song, man. Especially when we realized what they was talking about.
What it meant. Song meant. Yeah, you know exactly what they
loved it. Loved it once he realized what they was talking about.
Song is SWV "Rain on Me." That's his favorite song. You know what that song about, Dr. Shelley?
Yeah, I know that song. Why that's his favorite song?
Do you know what the song is about?
I think I do.
Oh, no,
Let your love just shower me like raindrops. And they talking about rain on me. Yeah, that's GP favorite song.
That's his favorite part.
GP, that's
he just sing the chorus.
That's GP favorite song.
Y'all too.
Man, I like that shit.
Oh, I want to congratulate you. Tried it over to New York for women.
Oh yeah, they went 0
That
and
was
3 in
that
pool
was a
play.
great game.
They went 0 and 3 in pool play. They lost every pool play game and won the championship. Who the hell does
Hmm.
that?
So kudos to them.
Yeah, shout out to them, man. And GP, we got to start getting back to the days where we invited the guests on the podcast and stuff like that, man. And give them something to look forward to. Because now that you said it, Dr. Shelley, not only shout out to you, tried it, but shout out to Rec for winning the co-ed intermediate. Shout out to Vu for winning the co-ed advanced, and shout out to the Avengers for winning the recess division.
Hmm.
And am I
Yeah,
missing?
40 and over champions too.
Shout outs to 40 Cal for winning the 40 and up. Yo, real quick, can I speak about that for 2 minutes, GP?
Go ahead. It's your podcast.
That 40 and up division, hands down, might have been my highlight of the entire weekend. Now, here's what happened with 40 and up. We made the announcement for 40 and up New York going into probably at the last hour, later than we should have. And while the initial reaction to our 40 and up announcement was strong, it died down going into the tournament. So we went into New York with 3 40 and up teams committed to playing, right? 3. So it was like, look, we're going to make the best of having these 3 teams. We're going to make the most out of it. We're going to play round robin, double game elimination, and we're going to make it is what it is. And on the morning of, unfortunately, one of the teams, they just couldn't rally together and make it happen. So we dropped from 3 teams to 2 teams.
Mm.
One of those teams being 40 Cal, who was driving up from DC the morning of just to come and play.
Oh,
So
wow.
they get to New York and they're looking around and we're like, yeah, we don't have 3 teams anymore. We only have 2. So they're looking at it like waste of time. It's giving me waste of time. That's what it's giving. So, and mind you, the only opponent that they have is the Mambas. So think about their mindset. It's like, yo, let's hurry up and finish this so we can go to brunch. Because at this point, this is what this day is going to be. Man, we get out there. We play that first game. The first few innings, the game is close. It's like 1-0. And, it's really like, oh, man, we still sleep. It's still a little bit of, tiredness from the road trip and stuff like that. Well, make long story short, that game ended up going into triple overtime. Triple overtime. That first game, it went into triple overtime, and they ended up winning, I think 3-2. The next game, because we were playing pretty much double game elimination, the next game we suited up. The Mambas win. And it went all the innings. It came down to, it was like the longest day of kickball between 2 teams ever. And we finally played the third game, and it was just hilarious, just the interaction that we had with those guys, because everybody went from one moment where it was like, let's hurry up and get out of here so we can get to brunch. Then it went to, hey man, y'all wake up and stop playing around with them. Then it went to, they literally, 2 players on the team, I'm not gonna call them out, they went to the ref and they challenged the ref and told the ref that they wanted to challenge my registration because I wasn't wearing a wristband. It got to that. So I had to go get a wristband, Dr. Shelley. I had to go and get a wristband. And we played that third game, and they finally was like, okay, enough is enough. And they beat us pretty bad. I think I want to say 6-0 or 6-1. But like in that game, that's the infamous clip where you saw Tay. He was just a backstop. And the game got chaotic, and he made his way into the game trying to make a play to stop Tay. It was a good time. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. My mom and my aunts, they came and they watched, unfortunately, the last game that we played. But it was dope, man. And if 40 and up is anything like that moving forward, you can sign me up every time. But I had to talk about that. And I was in my bag too. I ain't even gonna lie.
Where are you now?
In my bag. The last time I played that good. So Yeah, man, I was in my bag that day. I was
Is he telling the truth, GP?
I don't know. I ain't seen none of the game.
I played good. Look, you can ask anybody on the Mambas or 40 cal. They tell you, man, nah, he did all right. I did all right. My on base percentage, I think I got on base all but 2 times. And when I say I got on base, I'm talking clean paint jobs. Clean. Calling me Sherwin Williams when I was coming down. Yeah, man. I had a good time though, man. I really had a good time, man. And yeah, you know, I got called for a few encroachments. I had to go put a wristband on. I got a yellow card.
No, you didn't.
But I got a yellow card for no reason, Dr. Shelley. Like
what was the reason?
No reason. He was just like, hey, I'm gonna give you a yellow card. I said, I ain't even do nothing. He's like, I'm just give you one. I'm like, all right.
I felt that way when I got one too.
Yeah, I just got it. So, you know, I felt like, you know, that was my initiation. I was being bullied. I felt like I got bullied in that game or during that experience. Well, rightfully so, you know.
So who was the coach of that team?
The coach of who? The Mambas?
Yeah.
It was a collection of us that kind of was, you know, was managing the team. I have to say Dennis from Purple Cobras that you interviewed on ESPN.
Uh-huh.
He was really kind of vocal. I would say Bobby, Minnesota Bobby, right?
Uh-huh.
You know, he did a good job. Deontay with LI Kick, he did a good job. And then Tony was doing it. I mean, collectively, everybody kind of just played their part. You know, it was one of those things where everybody got in where they fit in. And, you know, for me, I've been out of the game so long that when I came over there, my speech was, hey, man, y'all know what to do. I trust what y'all got going on. In terms of lineup, y'all tell me where y'all want to kick type stuff. And, you know, the first game that we played, we went into triple overtime, but we all felt like if we had made a lineup that was, like, decent, we could have probably won that game. And they kicked 4 guys in a row, too. Low key. We didn't even get to – but – and so second game, we changed the lineup. And they were like, okay, we understand that you kind of was like, you know, allowing it to be what it is. But when we set this lineup, we got to set it in a way where we could move our runners. We could advance our runners. And from the way we played game 1, it looks like we can tell who's doing a good job of getting on base. So let's move them around. And we made the adjustment. We won. We won the next game. You know, and then the third game, we got the doors blown off of us, you know. But, you know, it was fun, though. It was fun. And so
I missed it.
Shout outs to 40 Cal for taking that road trip, but not only taking that road trip, you know, making it a dope experience. And I'm actually glad it panned out the way it did, because when it was all said and done, they felt like it wasn't a wasted trip. And that's what we wanted. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They got great competition and great games out of the experience. I believe they would all agree. They had a great time, and it was fun. It was cool. They got their rings, they got their shirts, and they got to go to brunch. So there was that.
Cool.
Yeah, so had to talk about that real quick, though. But I know we passed the 2-hour mark, and GP, he got to go get his salad tossed. So.
Hey, bye, man. Hey, we see everybody next week, Wednesday, 8 o'clock.
All right, man.
Because this motherfucker can't control itself.
All right, take it easy.
All right, y'all.
Good night.
Good night.